Welcome from the break. This is the Dialogue on Sol TV. My name is Prince Apollo. On the show this morning, we have Honorable Joseph Ochieno, Pan-Africanist, but also a member of the Uganda People's Congress. And Richard Baguma is a political commentator, but a strong advocate for healthy living. Dr. Werike Wanzala is a public policy researcher, and we continue to interrogate the ingoings within the political parties, more particularly political party financing, relating to the new development, an amendment that was made in the laws to tie public financing of political parties to IPOD membership. And this has, of course, created a situation where some parties which did not agree with this platform now going to be left out. And how will they survive? Is it now the time to revise their position and possibly benefit from government financing, or they can find other ways of surviving? And the importance of political parties in a democracy is our main concern. If these political parties are not facilitated or provided with an environment where they can thrive and nurture leaders, but also engage people in productive engagements that can foster a democracy, it's a serious problem. But more especially as we enter the 2026 elections, how will these parties cope up with the financing of campaigns? Well, Dr. Honorable Joseph, I don't know what you think. Most especially, how will these parties survive? I heard from Richard. Richard was saying parties across the world have to look for sources, fundraising. That's how they can survive. They cannot survive on handouts from governments. They especially if they are in opposition, the governments they intend to unseat.
Yeah, I noticed that you are not particularly generous to me by not referring to the most important aspect of my work now, that I'm actually the unelected president of Uganda People's Congress.
Oh, no,
and although I have been in the media for over 30 years...
Unelected president?
Sorry, undeclared. Undeclared president, so I beg your pardon. I also know that sometimes errors which are not corrected can cost us much.
Sure.
Part of what we're trying to do as UPC, and we found it very hard, Richard, was to cleanse the myth that was banged on UPC in this country and in Western media. I have been fighting that for now nearly 30 years officially. I advised my party and then party leaders in the mid-90s that I was going to take this on.
And at least UPC has some sources of funding.
Yes, I'll come to that. But why I had to say this is really basically about the authority of my position.
Yes.
Uganda People's Congress at the moment doesn't have a declared leader. Jim McKenna is an illegitimate person who sits at the party headquarters, as Richard says. Our official Uganda House, our 6th floor, is our official party headquarters. We're very privileged to have it. But Jimmy is not elected leader. Jimmy was ruled not an unconstitutional... It was ruled by High Court.
Isn't it a court matter? Still a court matter?
Yes, it was definitively determined. The High Court, definitively ruled that he was not president, he was not elected regularly. Court of Appeal ruled, and the Court of Appeal asked for fresh elections. The Supreme Court has ruled on the matter. But Jimmy continues on the basis of impunity that we can discuss much later. Following Court of Appeal ruling, asking for fresh elections, that's when I came in and participated in an election in which it was myself, Peter Walubiri, Dr. Okello, and Dr. Opul. And I won the elections. Things were fudged. This matter went to court. And since March 2021, 4 years and 3 months, the matter has still not been determined. It has gone through 4 judges. So that tells about the impunity in this country and the manner in which Mr. Museveni has ruled this country for his benefit. But why I was emphasizing that is to say this, that in the likely event that is resolved that I'm a president of the Uganda People's Congress, I would seek for an immediate campaign to ensure that we stop this nonsense about the poor Ugandans funding the political elite.
Oh.
And number two, that a future UPC government would massively, straightforwardly legislate that public funds do not go to political parties. As Richard was saying, and Milton Obote said this to Dr. James Ranyarara and Sam Odaka when they were battling over Uganda House and Milton Obote Foundation properties and assets, that a leader worth of a name, political party leader worth of a name, should have the capacity to mobilize resources for that political party and organization. If you're a president. As Ochieno, I know what I would do. I have been lucky that I was the National Assistant Treasurer of Uganda People's Congress under Mama Miria. I have been lucky that I was, you can imagine, as junior as Vice Chair membership for the parliamentary constituency in the British Labour Party. And also Vice Chair membership, and also at another time Vice Chair fundraising. They have at a constituency level 2 Vice Chair positions, membership and fundraising, and I've held both positions. Do you know what? That is what political parties do. Even before I came on air, I was having a conversation with a young member of the party from a certain sub-region who's struggling. They're struggling to try and organize the parties in the sub-region, partly because Jimmy is busy doing his deals and Wolobiri is in his chambers. Basically, they're holding the party hostage, thanks to maybe Mr. Museveni's environment that is helping them. But this young man wants to go to parliament. And I was saying that, look, it's your job to work with your local party to mobilize and organize, including to create possibilities to open up your party district offices. Granted, a national party headquarters with a huge amount of resources will give you direction, and once in a while may support you. National party leaders may help you to do, but that's the job of the membership. So political parties are voluntary organizations that as Richard says, you get money from your members, you get money from your friends, you get money from your supporters, and you get money through initiatives, bright, brilliant initiatives like Uganda People's Congress. As early as 1962 at independence, in fact 1961, as 1 year into the formalization of Uganda People's Congress, our party was strategically thinking ahead. That's why by 1967 we had Milton Obote Foundation. Thankfully, Milton Obote Foundation and the resources mobilized predominantly from members and friends. Not a penny, and I will tell our friends from NRA who like telling massive lies and tell the truth only by accident, but no public resources went to Milton Obote Foundation and did to Uganda House. That's the only reason why Amin left and tried to get it. That's the only reason why we can't take it anymore. Meaning, if you have men and women of vision, with a commitment, with a drive, with sense and values, they'll run. And Richard was hinting. You see why NRA has been in power, including with our public coffers and mabatis in their backyards. They can't have national parade headquarters. Why? Because these guys are driven by self-interests and really not anything to do with pluralist politics or building for the future. So I don't believe political parties should get public funding. The amount of money that you found, and I think Jared was talking, it's a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money. I know, as I talk today, look, including my phones, between now, I already got a message this morning, but between now and the end of this program, I know very likely for me, which I know, the number of times we get calls and messages for people who are really decent people asking me for 10,000 shillings. And the amount of time that some of those monies will be because somebody is a young student and somebody has got headache, somebody's got malaria and they look at money, it's huge. Why? Because this regime monetized quality but killed institutions and killed systems, public systems. Now, I actually think that I don't know what Gerald and his younger group of Ugandans can do to wake up Ugandans to these realities, get them angry, take them to what Richard was talking about, and begin to demand for that which belongs to them. But that said, I'm not quite sure we're going to change this thing under Mr. Museveni's administration. I think Ugandans need to work extremely hard to mobilize and organize, get a change of government, do possibly some of the things that IPOD was trying to say. Create an enabling environment in which we can agree to disagree, an environment in which opponents and enemies in political terms can see through the national interest.
What do you read?
Our nation and build a foundation for transition which is democratic, non-violent, and focused.
Honorable Chino, what do you read from this move to coerce, if I may use the word,
it is almost criminal.
The political parties to be members of IPOD so as to benefit from?
Yeah, I'm coming to that, but because of time, I'm just rushing it because I know exactly. It is criminal. How do you coerce me to belong to a voluntary organization? And IPOD, again, is another thing that I said at the introduction, and by now I was listening to this, that's why I think I was rather heavy from the beginning. Because before the IPODs came, as I said, I'm repeating this deliberately. I have been an active campaigner for pluralism in Uganda, officially with an official position since 1991. So it really frustrates me seeing the hypocrisy going around the world. By the time the Netherlands and others came up to the realization that opposition in Uganda were also worth listening to, how people had been butchered, and I'm saying that deliberately. So I know I was official lead campaigner, for restoration of multipartyism and exposing the NRA extreme atrocities around the world. So I know what the European Union used to do. I know what many of these North American countries, North European countries, I know the position of the British government. I know how the French would once in a while think we're inconvenienced knocking on the door. I know what the Americans would do. I know what the Commonwealth were trying to do. By the time organizations, including the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, we're beginning to realize that it's important, it's okay. There is something in Uganda and there is a need for an alternative thing. Their political chiefs and some of their top civil servants, normally some who would normally be about their intelligence and pushing their national interest, they had perfected the article, Uganda has got a movement political system. It's a new system which is to try and pacify Uganda, so there's no need for opposition in between that. It is until later they realized that some of these things are neither here nor there, and they could not hold their friends. These things came. So IPOD came. So
IPOD was from the beginning.
No, and it's an insult to Uganda.
A bad idea.
It's an insult to Ugandans that Ugandans must coalesce politically on the basis of something that has come from the Netherlands. It's no. Richard said it. It's a deliberate mission by Mr. Museveni to silence critical position. The move, if you don't mind, the move of funding political parties was started by Jacob Olanya. This is possible, not substantially no, but I can say it authoritatively. I think I better say it in this program. By Jacob Olanya advising Mr. Museveni that we can do these things so that we get money in NRA and other political parties, but we know we get most of the money. With the details neither here nor there. But that was basically the idea. Now, when this money started coming, and then they used the party's numerical strength, the number one beneficiary in NRA, and you can imagine NRA from their big numbers, the next other largest political party comes down to those days FDC with a few 50 plus or just less members of parliament. So the NRA had huge advantage on this. Fast forward now, NUP comes. The idea is one, I think, to stop them from having this money, but most importantly, also I think to play politics or PR with it. But I think Werika was right somewhere, where he said that belonging to IPOD, did NUP need to say yes or no? For the first time, I'm thinking that maybe strategically, all the if NUP needed to be
a member,
shout there. But they've been arguing that
and use it as a platform for engagement
sufficiently. But they have argued also quite rightly, so it's a argument that this is basically a PR thing to let us keep continuing. But whatever the case, you can't use the argument in the current legislation to ban other political parties.
Do you see them? Managing successful campaigns without government funding?
There's no reason why not, and I know they will. They will. The only thing is that, of course, they're coming from a huge area of disadvantage, where now a huge amount of money directly, officially legislated by us. But I also know on foreign funding, actually, I know NRA gets a lot of money from other players and other parties. I don't know to mention some of these other things, whatever. But we have sister parties, we have sister organizations. You can see something which is going on, and you know that NRA is making money, is able to get money from friends abroad. Now, there is this nonsensical blackmail about, Rebecca, I know you had an opinion that was not referring to. The blackmail that, if you don't fund them, they'll get money from dubious friends.
Yeah.
Must have really got money from Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a banned person in this country, a person that granted this country. Gaddafi supported Idi Amin for 9 years. Museveni fought with us on the opposite side of Gaddafi. As of 1979-80, Gaddafi was the most unpopular name in this place. But Museveni and Moses Ali, they got money from Gaddafi and subjected Uganda to a war of terror. So who's talking what? Number two, IMF and World Bank supporting Museveni. They're supporting him also politically. So if you talk about persons getting money from abroad, there's no more than NRA and Mr. Museveni and the privilege. Now, if we have a system that works, and Mr. Museveni's son X to discuss Germany and others, and he's average commander, they have the capacity also to check dubious money is coming in. So don't tell me that Uganda Security Services under NRA for 40 years don't have capacity to know whether Ochieng is getting money from a bad group in Congo, while NRA, of course, are getting money from bad timber in Congo. No, they've got capacity to. So the issue is not that.
It's not the issue.
Suffocating
the opposition.
The opposition.
Okay.
Why for you're
Thank you so much, Honorable Cheno. And viewers, you can be part of this discussion now. Send in your comments and observations, and let's get the feedback early so that we read it and respond in at least 10 minutes if you can. We are still looking at the prospects of the political parties, especially those who are outside IPOD, holding successful political campaigns in the next elections after this new legislation that ties our political party funding to membership of IPOD. Somebody here, Pauline appreciates you, Ochieng. He says you are very articulate and you have a cool voice. Anyway, thank you, Pauline and others. Send in your comments. Let's hear from you, Gerard.
If you don't mind,
how do you respond to that now that you have a cool voice?
You're very generous. Please get in touch politically so that together we can build the Republic. And I'm genuinely very serious. Please, I don't know how to do it, but make sure that you get my WhatsApp and get in touch and we talk and have a cup of tea as we build this country, regardless of our political affiliation. But no, the quick thing I wanted to say was, before Gerald comes, because Gerald is academia guy pass here. Part of what he's saying, this moving around PDM thing, Mr. Museveni is campaigning on your money. This guy campaigns from the beginning of the year to the end. Now, that's what the opposition parties are missing out on. And that's what the majority of Ugandans are missing. So this guy starts from a huge amount of advantage. That's why, and I think maybe we'll be discussing that much later, the mess in internal alternative opposition political parties. It's urgent that we sort it out ourselves so that we begin focusing on political issues, but also so that we hold these guys to account, because we're basically being driven like this.
Thank you. Doctor, I think it is clear now from the submission of Richard and Honorable Cheno that political parties can survive without government financing or public financing. And I see even in NRM, when they have goodwill from their members. You see it from the monies they pay during nominations. They pay a lot of money, and the collections are so huge. Why are we not looking at those alternative sources instead of actually using taxpayers' money to fund political parties?
I think, like I told you in the beginning, and what my senior comrade has hinted on, this idea originated. The idea of funding came from Germany, from Netherlands, but the Netherlands are the ones who brought it here. And because it was also adopted in Kenya, in fact, in Kenya, the taxpayer is funding the political elite up to 0.3% of the national total revenue.
That's so huge.
That's so huge. Political parties. So the political parties used to claim they don't have the resources and have been stopped from fundraising, and therefore they can't receive money from abroad. So it was a cry. But now, if he talked about the Uganda People's Congress, the original DP, I'm not talking about the DP now. Those political parties used to run on contributions from members, from construction sites, from the companies, from the cooperative societies, because they used to believe, and the ideology of the political parties was very clear. If UPC stood for total independence, stood for social and democratic principles, and so the members knew what they were contributing.
It was their obligation to support their parties.
Stensha Mayanja is telling you that she's the president of Peasants Party, so it being brought. Which peasants? Who knows what the objectives of that party, what she stands for? When did they form? Which peasant knows about it? So you find that political parties, because of greed and destruction of institutions and the politics of the day, people join political parties sometimes just to create outfits, private outfits.
Yeah, for their selfish interests.
Where they are able to just form alliances. I saw Robert Mao taken to court for entering an alliance without consulting the organs of DP, the National Council, the Delegates Conference, and so that matter was in court for a long time. So I think the whole idea itself wouldn't be bad, that members can contribute, but also there is transparent.
Why are we not doing it? Like I talked about the goodwill I can see in NRM members during nominations. They give, they actually very many paying huge millions.
Now, by the way, the issue of NRM, don't confuse it with members being interested. The issue is that other political parties have been suppressed. There are people who are coming from FDC, UPC, who have no alternative where they are. And then they say, let's just use this as a vehicle. Probably we might get into elections. And also with the unemployment and also the low qualifications to join the elective positions, equivalent of it. So many people want to find employment in that space. So that is the vehicle. And also are now eyeing it as a source of income. People are now looking at Parliament as a deal house, a transactional place where you sell your building, then you come back maybe expecting to buy 3 buildings more. At the end of 5 years, get access to big loans, secured by the Parliament, and then you go and do other things. That's perfectly what is happening today. But the fact is that if people believe in something, they will support it.
Like NOP is doing now.
Yes, you saw. I told you Dr. Besige here in 2016, because 2016 I did for Dr. Besige a lot of social media propaganda on Facebook. And I was privy to some information. Up to around 16 billion at the time was spent by the FDC on the campaign. But it came from friends and
and well wishers.
Yes, of the party then. It is possible, but is there an enabling environment? Is there a behavior of political parties to sell what they are doing, to package it and sell it to the citizens, or they are basically institutions that are all privately owned? Because there are so many political parties today. If you told me that, what do they stand for? What's their ideology? What's their plan for this country? I can assure you many of them I don't know.
Richard, what do you think is the future of multipartyism? As you said, your chairman and your NRA seem not to care about, real multi-party democracy.
I also don't understand what real multi-party democracy means. When you're growing up and then sometimes you get involved in processes, you start asking yourself questions, you start reflecting. the multi-party democracy should be good in US or wherever. There are two parties. So double-party democracy is the same as multi-party. Yeah. There are two parties. That's it. You can say, oh, there is another one. Which one? Ask anyone. So that's you see. And I always challenge a lot of us who are analysts. In a national election in the US, you probably get 40% people participating, eligible voters. Yeah, they don't come. They don't go to vote. No. You see, because there are systems through which, or ways through which they can carry their voice. Yeah. So they have other means of carrying their voices. So they don't necessarily have to come and select one or the other. We talk about longevity in office, except for the president. You find these senators and all these MPs, they spend 40 years, 30 years. Just such a... So patronage systems also work there. So that's part of it. For me, it is the possibility that you can have a voice influence a decision that is taken on your behalf. Because people are taking decisions purportedly on our behalf. We represent you, we are speaking for you. But then they are not taking our voices.
Yeah.
So I think that is what we are talking about. So to say that in our circumstances, you are going to have true democracy, I think it's to expect too much.
That is too much.
But we can have some democracy. Yes, at least we can have a level of democracy. If democracy is to mean that you can have your voice or your representation contributing to the decisions that affect you. That I think we can achieve. We don't have it now. I'm not sure it's imminent. It's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not sure. And that's why we must not behave and speak to discourage and take away the initiatives by especially our young people. Because we can speak and be so despondent that even those ones who were thinking of doing something or joining an effort. That is why, Apollo, I think that we must also inculcate the culture of people contributing to their betterment.
Yeah.
They are doing it, by the way, and I think we also don't see some of these efforts. If you look at the self-help groups in this country,
in villages and
in towns, you look at the elites. I am here, and I would like to believe that if you ask all of us, we belong to some more than one self-help group. Old Boys Association, village, I don't know what, residents, we have all this, church or mosque. That is how movements are built. Even when you look at political parties, they started as workers, movements, as all these kinds. So I think that is a positive thing, but that is people looking for alternatives. To worry that the parties will not get resources. If people believe that they want to go, they will see. You can see the amounts of money people contribute to like Pentecostal churches. Yes, it's voluntary, and because they are doing it, with conviction. So if people can understand that these parties will help to give them a voice and make it better, people can contribute. The outsiders too. This message that my president has promoted, that creates, that paints people who receive money from outside as criminals. Yes, they are what do you call it? They are like treason. They are treasonable. They are. I think this is the highest level of deceit that you can bring. You look at the government budget, the government of Uganda budget. How is it funded? So if receiving money from outside is criminality, then the government is the chief criminal.
Okay.
Let's look at the expenditure that who estimated the other time that the presidential campaign, he spent about 900 billion. So how can you explain that? Those are contributions.
Well,
So Apollo, this attempt, because it's another choking method. Please don't receive money from your
foreign
friends.
funding,
No,
foreign friends.
That's another choking. And then they say, we shall give you money. Who?
IPOD.
Oh, let me tell you, Apollo, you were here saying that IPOD has what, 35 billion?
Yeah, 35 billion.
I just told
available
you that the donations money for one person is 160 billion.
Oh.
5 times more. So what are we talking about? It's a joke.
We'll read the comments, but keep those messages coming in. Somebody comes from Untungamo, and his comment is related to the PDM. He says people look to be appreciating the campaign of PDM, leave alone the voting thing. I don't know what he's saying, but even on this PDM assessment tours, somehow the message of voting and campaign is filtered through.
But why can't we just be open and say during this campaign? Because the president is campaigning. He's not monitoring PDM. A head of state doesn't have to go to every corner of this country
campaigning
in order to evaluate a government program. Yes.
Muruta Richard is saying, thank you so much, gentlemen. The political parties, the political party in government has no will to promote other political parties, and that is the root of the problem. Okay, I think he talks about NRM, the one in government, which is in government, lacking the political will to promote multipartyism, and but I think that's what you alluded to, Richard. Let me at least have other messages coming in, and I'll come to them. Honorable, how now do we shape our democracy in the line of pluralism, when we have all these limitations? We have this the lack of goodwill from the ruling government. How can we do it?
I think Richard cautioned you, and Richard being related to the governing authorities, you must take what he's saying seriously.
What did he say? Remind me.
No, we do not have a proof, because
I may not have taken the warning seriously.
No, but it's actually quite, very generous of him, in the context of his observations. No, we do not have a democracy in Uganda. We have a monolithic one-party dictatorship. And it's one that we've had since 1986. I told you that I have been at the helm of campaigning to transform it, but not, but at the same time to basically try and return pluralist politics in Uganda. We campaigned net for return to multipartyism. Part of what I think Richard was saying is whether or not from 2005, when eventually, not through the referendum, but through us forcing return to pluralism, including via the court and the international community, whether or not we've achieved that. My opinion is that unfortunately we haven't yet. Opposition, the biggest, most serious opposition to NRM is UPC. Like Milton Obote said,
repeat it.
Uganda People's Congress.
The most?
The most formidable official opposition to NRM is Uganda People's Congress. Museveni knew it in
the UPC that has an MOU with NRM?
UPC doesn't have an MOU with NRM.
Who has it?
To be fair, Norbert Mao has an MOU with NRM, but UPC doesn't. Jim McKenna and his wife and a few people around them have got their dubious deals, and that's true, by the way.
Okay.
They've got it. I know that already they have a deal with Museveni, but that's a deal to push for their personal agenda. And even then, even if it was formal, because Jim is not president of UPC, he will not be speaking on behalf of UPC. So that's their own deals with that. I'm talking about Uganda People's Congress that I know and that I effectively represent. Is the party that Mr. Museveni challenged in 1980, knowing very well that it would be the obstacle for his agenda that is pushed. And it's also the one that, when he took over power in 1986, so as his number one opponent and enemy. That what UPC stands for is mobilization and organization and securing our national interests and delivering Uganda against the enemies of ignorance, poverty, and disease. NRA knows that with the UPC delivering on that, you have to push UPC aside. And like what I said, that the best way to kill a snake is to cut off his head. So it's not surprising that for UPC, you go to disorganize at the helm, because in that way then we'll minimally confused. But this is the point. So away from UPC and all the other...
How can we...
Establish political... Yeah, that's right. Away from that. It is urgent that we recognize the anomalies around which we have. And I know that we may not have time to discuss other elements, including cooperation, and different kind of... in mind. And globally, we have politics, and the generals would give those lectures. The left and the right of politics. And using the right of politics will be about conservatism, and we'll discuss conversations around taxations, big government, small governments, or how economies and society operate. Ideals, values, and policies. And that you look for politics of the left, which UPC is. You will say that, well, left-leaning socialist or social democratic political parties and organizations believe in big government, and that government makes a net contribution to society. Spaces for you to mobilize, organize taxes, but the national resources that are good, how do you share? You'll find most of the Scandinavian countries, including and the Netherlands, they do fantastically, but most of the governing political parties there will be social democratic. How do you bring that here? It hasn't happened that we've never had that. In the 60s, we actually had a governing UPC working side by side, ironically with the conservative KY. But that was a post-election arrangement in which it became an imperative that we wanted more Uganda than ourselves. That deal worked, of course, except the 1964 Lost County thing. The leaders at the time were thinking about their country, more than themselves and the individual political parties. All those still didn't work. Where we are today, which political party away from UPC is coherently ideologically driven? Which one, as Gerald said, which of the existing political parties away from UPC, away from DP, and we call NRM multi-ideological? Now, what multi-ideological is, I don't know. So in the absence of that, citizens are generally quite confused. We are sort of now again about individuals, personalities. You see, Mpuga coming, and is it now about Besigye and whatever? It's very hard for our people. I hope.
So we are still in a state of confusion.
We've never recovered from the ban on political parties.
Our time is running out.
My last thing is this: that unfortunately, as we work towards the elections, I really hope political party leaders, including leaders in NRA who are not Museveni, we focus on an agenda beyond 2026. That we're able to repeat.
Speaking of that agenda, in just 1 minute, you can speak also about the alliances and coalitions that are happening. Can they somehow, help us with this problem we've been talking about? Can they contribute something? Can these coalitions be some glue to bring us together and forge a way forward?
To the extent that division doesn't help, alliances help. For the arguments that I gave. If you refer to alliances of ANT and PFF, they're children of the same family, original FPs, and most of them predominant original NRA. But it's not bad. It's better than basically split for which you now have DF coming from NUP, coming from DP, and aspects of it coming from KY. And what is it? It's sort of an element of the same pot. The more people think together, the better. Thankfully for us, you see, it's in UPC, we have the contradictions. I have told people that, well, for me, mine is strategic and ideological, but I am UPC.
You are not ready to form another party.
To go ahead and form another party. A vehicle for what, like Gerald is saying. That I think is very important for our people. But at the moment, it's not about Richena, it's not about Mpuga. What is it that we do as citizens of Uganda? It's all the thing to recognize that we are being fudged in a foil by Mr. Museveni.
Thank you.
Go through elections and post this election.
Thank you.
Uganda exists and we try and build Uganda
for
all our children.
This is Pastor Abel Amanya from Mitiana. He says Ugandans should wake up because NUP has been saying that Museveni has made Ugandans poor. How comes now NUP is collecting money from poor Ugandans? Abo bano nyabugaga. That is your comment, Abel, Pastor Abel. Thank you. Yiga Samuel Mere Namunodozo Neboyogerere, principal, thanks for the show. As long as we still have Mr. Museveni as the president of Uganda, nothing will normalize. And he's the trouble causer of unfit leaders in the country due to the scrap off of political science in schools. And another thing, PDM is not the remedy to the downtrodden's welfare. Because in a group of 20 people, they disburse money not only one person, to only one person. All is just confusion. Thank you. That is your observation. And I think, Dr. Wirihe, you have to wind up. You have to wind up. If there is any other message, others are appreciating us. If there is any other message, I read it as we conclude.
Well, the issue is about, you talked about the
alliances.
Yeah, I would look at the two. I think they are the only two alliances we are seeing. One is of President Museveni and Robert Mao. If we are analyzing them, we need to say, are they principled? Are they just opportunistic? So that question can arise, because now you cannot tell me that a political alliance between Robert Mao and President Museveni, which has virtually disintegrated DP, is useful. No. And the two ideological have been totally different. So they cannot achieve a common objective.
What about this new one of PFF and NT?
Yeah, that is the original FDC minus Naja Nankumi. We all know that the ANT has been on a political drip. You know, things are really bad for the ANT. And I saw General Mikshamutu saying that what separated them was only strategy, but ideological, I think they agree. So this is like a reunion of people who have previously been married, disagreed, and are back as a family.
The reunion.
So, now, there are these Ugandans that we need to reach out who are not part of this group. How do we really identify them? For me, I see the breakup, DF, because you are angry with NUP and then you form an outfit, the Peasants Party with another musician, a woman musician trying to reach out to a certain fraction of people in Uganda, and then you have the Honorable Nsereko, who is so much vicious against NUP because of the pressure in the Kampala Central. Is forming Ecology Party, and at the convention of DF, the issue is not about governance but insults against NUP. So you see that we are still in a state of confusion. And I think there are deliberate efforts to continue confusing Ugandans. And since we have decided since 1995, when we made the constitution, that civic education should not be funded, we should scrap civics from schools, we should leave the country to drink alcohol and smoke drugs. So at the end of the day, I think we want a very confused society that we can beat and chase from polling stations, and then we continue dominating.
Richard, your closing remarks.
No, I many times when I speak to groups, I tell them about water, flowing water. Flowing water, you can put a dam, but it always tries to look for ways. So the parties have been in a blockade for decades. But the party spirit, which is the spirit of participation, which is the spirit of sharing on governance, taking part in leadership, allocation of resources, that never goes away from human beings. Human beings always want to be part of the action. Now, that one, when you add the increasing consolidation of this action among very few hands, you force many people to try to find a way to be part of that action. And they will disagree, because, you know, people, when they are cramped together and when they will disagree. But many times they go think and say, but I think there is a bigger So you see this. There will be this space which is small, which they are cramped into. They disagree, but they never stop trying to create cracks. And so splitting and joining, making new parties and groups, coming together again is part of this process of pushing this dam that has been blocking their access.
So there is hope.
In fact, if there was hopelessness, it would be suicidal.
I can read from the status Brendan Asasira 801, and he says the problem of Uganda is NUP, Museveni forever. That is your comment, and that's your observation, and it's your opinion, and others who are actually sending in, but it's already late. We have to get out of this place. It's a pleasure, and it will always be having you on this show, Honorable Joseph.
My pleasure always to jump from the other end of Kampala to this end. Sometimes the means potholes, but the future is this country.
Good that this week there was a funding of at least 4 trillion that has been brought in this city. Hopefully we'll have a better city. That's what that's my hope.
40 years too late, but we hope it delivers.
My name is Prince Apollo. Thank you so much for being part of this show. Until next Saturday, I have to appreciate my panel. Dr. Widhe Wanzala, thank you so much for being here and making the show big and great. Richard, it's always a privilege.
Tell them not to drink and drive. It's a weekend.
It's a weekend.
We don't want the statistics of corpses going up on our roads.
Actually, we didn't have time for it, but there's another spike of criminality, homicides. You had the homicide in Entebbe, then another one in Kasangati. It's not so good, but we hope for the best. Until next Saturday, thanks to the production team, thanks to the viewers who sent in and participated in the discussion. God bless you all. God bless Uganda.